Yakuza is too goofy now. This is not real Yakuza. These are two sentiments that I've seen a lot, but there's been an even bigger spread of it ever since the announcement of the Majima game. Whether these comments are from rage baiters or people who don't actually play the games or people who do play the games, you are entitled to your own opinion. I can understand not liking the goofiness all too much because sometimes it can take you out of the story. Like, oh, you're gonna fight a giant squid right before the final boss. That's a little weird. But when people say this is not real Yakuza, just because the main character takes turns in a fight, or just because it's a little goofy, that's stupid. And you're stupid. Yakuza has always been goofy and overdramatic. That's just how RGG is, and so that's what their games are going to be like. I really can't understand why people have such a huge problem with the Dragon Engine games, but then they can pass off the stupid stuff that happens in the older games. Kiryu fighting tigers in a golden castle that rose out of another castle. Rubber bullets. The point is, the goofiness is something that has always been a part of the series. Even the goofy ass English dub in the first game.
His name is Kazu.
If you have a problem with this goofiness, you should probably just go play something else, man, because these games aren't for you. RGG leaning into the goofiness in these recent Ichiban games also has a lot of reasons, but first, we'll talk about the big one. One of the big reasons for this new direction change is RGG embracing themselves. These recent games, you can feel how personal they are. The goofiness, the cancer plotline, all of it is RGG telling their stories through the games. That's why the games are so different now. Not only did they use Kiryu leaving as an opportunity to put in a new protagonist, they used it as an opportunity to put more of themselves in the games than they ever have before.
What I tried to do with Ichiban Kasuga was to create a life-sized hero. Kazuma Kiryu is a modern version of a typical Japanese hero. He has inherited the spirit of a samurai who lives by the way of the sword, and in embracing elements like that, a man should not talk too much, not act in groups, and above all, be strong. The main characters in traditional Japanese ninkyo movies are like this. Ichiban Kasuga, on the other hand, is not that strong. He's also not that mature and is in a sense a normal guy. This is what I wanted to portray. In reality, I'm pretty close to Kasuga's age and not all that an adult either. This is why I wanted to create a hero that we, the creators of the game, and the users could sympathize with, instead of portraying an unrealistic hero from the perspective of an observer.
There are very vocal people that hate the Ichiban games without ever playing them, and you can tell. And I think this is very ironic. RGG rebirthed themselves. They changed over time, and a lot of the games are about people changing over time and getting second chances. But the game studio themselves are not given a second chance by the people who hate on the Ichiban games? Come on, bruh! You would be the bad guy in Infinite Wealth, man. Come on! Looking at Yakuza 7, RGG focuses a lot on this kind of theme. Second chances and living again. Feels like a very not subtle way of addressing the change in the series, and it's very meta. Anyway, the game focuses a lot on how it's never too late to chase your dreams. You are never too far out of your prime, and that it's never too late for you to have a happy-go-lucky attitude. That's why half the cast is middle-aged men. Ichiban himself goes to jail for the golden years of his life, but when he gets out, he is given a second chance to live again. He fights with optimism, enthusiasm, and big puppy dog eyes. He sees the world differently from the previous protagonist, not just because of the RPG mechanics, but because he's a child at heart and he takes everything with joy. He is enjoying life with his friends, and that's why he fights with them. His schizophrenia is an embodiment of that too. He's play fighting with friends, imagining monsters and bad guys to beat up. The goofiness is an extension of both Ichiban's characterization and the change in the series. He and RGG go through the same journey. It's never too late to have a happy-go-lucky attitude and chase your dreams. Bam! The series changed and has a happy-go-lucky attitude. It's even representative of the series as a whole. It's not subtle at all. Ichiban sees things with wonder and optimism, and that's because RGG does too. Think about it like this. Nowadays, the series is in the greatest state that it's ever been in. It's peaking in popularity, sales, and everything. Gone are the days of people worrying if Yakuza 5 and 0 will even get localized. The games reflect this state of the series through Ichiban and the way he sees the world. They want you to enjoy it, and they want you to delve into the goofiness. Because Ichiban is not just a reflection of the series and the journey that RGG went through. He's a reflection of you and me and everyone else who plays the games.
The world has changed quite rapidly since Yakuza was born in 2005, 15 years ago. The means of playing and enjoying games have also shifted and become multifaceted, ranging from TVs to smartphones. YouTube is bigger than it was before. Yakuza has also had to change with the times. I wanted to shift from the era of enjoying the stories of heroes like Kiryu and Solitude to one where everyone can share and empathize with the emotions shown. In essence, I wanted Ichiban Kasuga to be a catalyst for change in Yakuza. That's why I created him the way that he is, a character who laughs and cries with his friends and expresses his thoughts unabashedly.
Many people treat this goofiness like it's a plague and it's something that destroys the series, but like I said, this is just RGG. If you really have a problem with this, just go play something else. You're just gonna be torturing yourself. There's another game that RGG expressed themselves through pretty well, and it's also the most popular game in the series. Yakuza 0 is almost the exact same in tone as the Ichiban games, and a lot of people praise it over the Ichiban games, which confuses me. And I love Yakuza 0. I should be biased towards it. Anyway, in the game, Kiryu and Majima are living it up in the 80s, and in their side content, it is just happy-go-lucky and wacky, and they're just enjoying life. The Ichiban games are also like this, happy-go-lucky and enjoying life and goofy. But if you were to apply what people say about the Ichiban games to Yakuza 0, then fucking Kiryu, I thought this game was supposed to be serious. Why the fuck are you doing S&M lessons? You should be fighting for the empty lot. This is not real Yakuza. This is an exaggerated example, but I hope this gives you an idea of the double standard people have when talking about these games. You can even cherry pick things like these in all of the games, but I'm not gonna do that. Anyway, in Yakuza 0, everyone's living it up in the 80s, but in the story, it's serious, and they treat it with absolute sincerity. When the comedic moments come, they treat that with absolute sincerity. The seriousness and the goofiness is only there when it needs to be there, and that's exactly how 7 and Infinite Wealth are treated as well. Every single game in this series knows how to do this. They know when they need to get serious, and they know when they need to be comedic. In 7, the goofiness, the charm, the seriousness, everything is still there. It's not different just because Ichiban punches someone in the face and then waits for them to hit him too. Even the groundedness that people care about, even though this series has never really been grounded, is still there. 7 is about a corrupt governor trying to deport immigrants, and Infinite Wealth is about the Yakuza smuggling nuclear waste, which is something that was on the news right after the game released. And the guy charged with this has a combination of the names of the two guys that were doing it in the game. That's kind of crazy. Since we're on the topic of Infinite Wealth, a huge portion of that game is dedicated to the direction change. It's Kiryu's entire plot, and it feels not so subtle. Kiryu in that game starts as a slave for the Daidoji. He can't see his family, he can't be out in the open until he is, and he still wants to do things his way, alone. He is also sick and dying, but he just wants to work until he dies.
何もこんなことを大道寺一派ってのがこの仕事をやらせてんですよね。そいつんとこ連れてってくださいよ。
春日、
俺が話つけます。
春日、それは違う。俺が今ここにいるのは俺自身が決めたことだ。大道寺一派の命令で仕方なくでもお前に巻き込まれたわけでもない。
じゃあなんで
静かに余生を過ごすのもいいだろう。だが俺は残された時間を少しでもやるべきことに使いたい。
なんだよ、やるべきことって。大同時一派の仕事かよ。そんなこと言ってあんた治療から逃げてるだけじゃねえのか。
It is only because of Ichiban and everyone else around him that Kiryu begins to give himself a second chance and decides he wants to live again.
あんたが伝説のヤクザとかなんて一般人の俺には全然ピンとこないんだよ。俺にとって桐生さんはカラオケと酒が好きでやたら喧嘩が強くて、そんでだいぶ手のかかる友達だよ。それじゃあダメかい。あんたは一人で抱え込みすぎだって。困った時は頼ってくれよ。それがダチってもんだろ。
そうだったな。いつの間にか忘れてたみたいだ。
He begins to hallucinate because, like Ichiban, he's a protagonist, but also because he's learning how to enjoy life and experience it with wonder. It's a very straightforward way of saying, yo, this old man has to get with the times or he's gonna die. And it's addressing the player too. You have to adapt to the RPG style because it won't work if Kiryu fights alone. The game focuses so much and exaggerates the goofiness so much because it wants to keep Kiryu alive and give him a reason to live. The brightness, the comedy, the goofiness, all of it is used to show Kiryu and the player that no matter how many shitty things there are in life, there are things that are just as good. Without Ichiban, without all the people around him, Kiryu would have just decided to run in and die. It's because all of these people gave Kiryu a push to see the world differently that he's still alive. Maybe you hate the Ichiban games because Ichiban is too happy-go-lucky and you want everything to be dark and gritty and a serious crime drama. Infinite Wealth says, no, that won't work. You can only see your life as dark and gritty for so long before you start being self-destructive. These games are not just about being an RPG or wacky and crazy to be wacky and crazy. It's about enjoying and loving your life, which is exactly what Kiryu goes through. It's also the same reason why they let Majima be a pirate. Just let him enjoy his life. He's an old man, but that's the point. You are never too old to feel a child's wonder again. But if you play these games and you hate them, I can't do anything about that. I'm just a guy in his bedroom. I just hope that if you haven't played these games, you give them a chance before you write a hate comment about how Ichiban taking turns in a fight makes him not a real Yakuza. If you don't want to play the Ichiban games and you're tired of RPGs or you don't like them at all, you can always just play something else. That's why RGG makes the spin-off games like Gaiden and Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. That's a shitty ass title, man. The spin-offs are trying to cater to everyone's taste. And if you don't want to play these games, there's always this really underground and pretty unknown game franchise that RGG also made. It's called Judge Eyes or Judgment. Yeah, it's pretty unknown. It might have a semi-famous actor as the likeness for the main character. No one really knows these games. These games are so unknown that no one even talks about the combat in Lost Judgment. Like, that game's combat ain't even that good. Anyway, that's all I got. Bye. Please subscribe so I have a reason to edit this Yakuza TV show video and upload it.
Isn't it crazy how these guys are 5 years apart in age? Maybe he wasn't lying when he said he was a zombie.